In this video, we're going to help you get started using Funnily Connect. We'll start with some basic configuration and navigation, and then we'll move on to creating opportunities, assigning volunteers to those opportunities, scheduling those volunteers, and logging hours. We'll also talk about configuring your public site and adding volunteers to your system. To start, we're going to go to the main menu and look at Configurations. Configurations is where you can start getting your system ready for use, including setting up search tags, programs, agreements, and custom datasets. Custom datasets are of particular interest as these will allow you to add new fields to the system that don't automatically come with it. These fields can also be used in volunteer application forms to ask custom questions of your volunteers. A quick way to start many tasks in the system is with the Quick Add menu. From here, we can add volunteers and opportunities and add hours. If you are using a Volunteer Action Center account, you can also add organizations from the Quick Add menu. Otherwise, we can use the main menu. To add a new opportunity to your system, go to Our Opportunities. Here, you will find a list of all of your currently active opportunities. To create a new opportunity, click on either Add Basic Opportunity or Add Advanced Opportunity. Let's start with Add Basic. When creating an opportunity, you will start with the opportunity's name. This is the name that potential volunteers will see on your public site, and should be something quick and simple that will get their attention, but still tell them a little bit about what they might be volunteering for. From here, indicate the owner of this opportunity, which will allow you to select from your users. If this opportunity is not to take place at a physical location, indicate that it is a virtual opportunity. Otherwise, indicate the physical location the opportunity will take place at. For advanced opportunities, you have the additional option to add multiple locations. Next, if this opportunity is to be linked to a specific program, which is an aspect of your organization's mission, indicate that under the programs. Within an opportunity, different volunteers may perform different jobs. We call these positions. To add additional positions, click on Add Position and indicate the name of that position. For all opportunities, both basic and advanced, in the Opportunity Details section, this is where you'll get to put the information for this opportunity that will be displayed online. In effect, this is the page that your volunteers will see. So in Opportunity Details, you should make sure to put plenty of information about the opportunity and why it's important that volunteers volunteer for this opportunity. For basic opportunities, this is the screen that we will also do our scheduling on. Otherwise, we will do it later, as we will soon see. We have two kinds of schedules that can be used in a basic opportunity. One time, to indicate one time, one day opportunities that volunteers can sign up for, or ongoing, which represent volunteer opportunities which simply take place in some span of time. Next, we will configure a shift for our schedule. The shift represents the actual time of day that our opportunity will take place on. And so we will give our shift a name, a start time, and an end time. Occasionally, a volunteer opportunity will not have fixed times, and a volunteer will simply volunteer when they are available. For these shifts, indicate this with the flexible time option. From here, go ahead and click on Save and Next. On the next page, we'll start by indicating various keywords and search tags that will help volunteers find our opportunity. The only required of these search tags is activity type, which tells our volunteers the type of activity that they will be performing. But you can also indicate on a larger scale the cause being helped in the interest area that the volunteer might have. You can also indicate the age group to be served, the population served, and the genders served. And lastly, and very importantly, the age of the volunteers that you seek. One additional option here is the allowance for team or group signups instead of simply individual volunteer signups. Once you have set the search tags for your opportunity, there are a number of options available which will influence the behavior of this opportunity, and those functions available to volunteers who have applied. The first is whether or not a volunteer can manage their own schedule, or if this option is reserved only for admins. Next, whether or not this opportunity will be displayed on the public calendar. If volunteers can log their own hours, taking some of the burden off of an admin, indicate that here. When a volunteer applies, you will be provided with certain information about that volunteer based on their account. If you have added an application form, you'll also be provided with any information on that form. If you require that you review this information before a volunteer be considered a volunteer for this opportunity, indicate with the Approval Required slider. Next, if a volunteer must go to an orientation, in order to be considered a volunteer and to be scheduled for this opportunity, indicate that with the Orientation and/or Training slider, and indicate what orientation they must attend. If you select multiple orientations, they will be required to attend at least one session of each indicated orientation before they can proceed. And lastly, over here on the right, we can indicate the form to be used for this opportunity that volunteers will have to fill out, and if using the Time It feature, at what time a volunteer may be automatically checked out after having punched in. As an additional option concerning hours, if you wish to simply mark volunteers as having attended a day, mark the auto log hours when marked as attended. Otherwise, you will manually assign hours instead of having the system calculate them for you. After setting all the options and search tags and keywords for your opportunity, click on Save and Next. If the opportunity you have created is an advanced opportunity, you will now be taken to Scheduling and Shift. Otherwise, you would have proceeded to Publish. On Scheduling and Shift, we will indicate the days and times that the opportunity is available, with more available options than a basic opportunity. First, select the location you wish to schedule for. Next, indicate that if you will be scheduling on a weekly or monthly basis. When using the monthly basis, simply indicate the start date, the end date, and the day of the month the opportunity will be taking place on. When using weekly, we will have a few more options. We will once again start with the start date and the end date, but we will also indicate which days of the week, either with a every, first of the month, second of the month, third, fourth, or fifth, or alternating weeks. So for example, we could say that we have a schedule that is every Monday and Tuesday, but alternating Wednesdays. Once you have set your schedule, you can put any date exceptions necessary. These date exceptions are usually used to account for holidays that might interrupt the normal scheduling of an opportunity. Once you have configured your schedule, go ahead and click Save. If this is the first schedule added to this opportunity, you will be prompted to configure a shift. Otherwise, from the schedules on the right, you may choose to add a shift manually. When adding a shift, you will indicate the name of the shift, the days the shift takes place on, based on the configuration of the schedule, and the start and end time of that shift. As before, if the start and end time are variable, you may use the flexible time option. Lastly, when configuring a shift, indicate which positions are available in this shift, and if needed, the number of volunteers needed for that position. When you have finished configuring a shift, click Save. If you need to configure another shift for a given schedule, click Save and Add New. If necessary, shifts can overlap, both on the days that they are used and the time of those days. If you need to view the shifts for a schedule, click on View Shift. Once you have finished configuring the schedules and shifts for an opportunity, click on Next. The final step for paid accounts is whether or not to publish an opportunity online. If you wish to publish an opportunity online, indicate the day that you wish that opportunity published and click on Publish, at which point you will be prompted to share the opportunity on Facebook or Google. If you need to unpublish an opportunity, go ahead and click on Unpublish. Now that we have a number of opportunities created, we need to start adding volunteers to them and scheduling them. If a volunteer applies for an opportunity online, we will not need to manually add them. However, if you want to, you can manually add a volunteer who perhaps has come in person or sent in a physical form. To do this, find the opportunity you wish to add them to, and from the drop-down on the right, select Assign Volunteer. Now, go ahead and type in the name of the volunteer you wish to add. If the volunteer exists, a drop-down will be presented that you may select them from. Otherwise, when you click out of the field, you will be able to add the volunteer new to your system, indicating their first name and last name, and if available and recommended, their email. Once done, click Save. This will add the volunteer to your system, and we may now assign them to the opportunity. If we have more volunteers to add, we can simply continue typing names and hitting Assign Volunteer as needed. Note how we now have one volunteer. To schedule a volunteer, we can either click on the number under Volunteers, or from the right here, click on Manage Volunteers. Depending on how an opportunity was configured, whichever step is next to take will be listed under Next Step, and we can simply click on this to continue. In this case, our volunteer must attend a volunteer orientation. So we can click on Pending Orientation and Training and assign them to correct training, location, and day that they will attend or have attended, and click Save. Now they are marked as pending attendance. Once they have actually attended the orientation, we can once again click on the link and indicate that they have attended. This will allow us to proceed to scheduling. Our volunteer, having now attended the orientation session, is now ready for scheduling, where we shall click on our link and assign them to a location, a shift, and a position that we have previously configured. By default, the system will fill in the start and the end time from that shift, but we can override this as needed. We will also have the option of either assigning them by day of week or by specific dates. Once you have set the volunteer schedule, click on Save. Now that our volunteer has been scheduled, the last and final step is to log hours for them. We do this, much as we've done before, by clicking on Log Hours. We will do this by selecting the assignment that we wish to log hours for, and then, for each day, we can log the hours. Now that we know how to create opportunities, assign volunteers, schedule volunteers, and log hours, our last two tasks are to create new volunteers and design our public site. We've already seen once how we can create a volunteer as needed, but if you wish to see and view your volunteers and add to that list, we will go to the main menu and Add Volunteer. Here, we will get the full Add Volunteer screen, but the only two required fields are first name and last name. It is recommended, however, that you enter all available information. Once we have entered all the information you wish for your volunteer, simply click on Save. Lastly, since we wish to put our opportunities online, we will want to configure our public site. To do this, click on the main menu and go to Design My Public Site. Here we will see a preview of our currently configured public site. The first thing we want to do is modify it by clicking on Edit Template. This will allow us to edit various sections, including the logo, top menus, various widgets, and the content of our home page. When editing menus, you'll be able to add new menu items or edit them. Some menu items will come with the system. Others, such as text page, you can add yourself. If you wish to edit the colors of your page, we will click on the arrow button next to Preview, click on Configure, and opt for different shades or background colors. As they become available, You'll also have the option to select from different templates. When you are done editing your site, switch back to Preview and close the right-hand editor. That concludes the initial training video. If you ever need help, feel free to email us at support@fundly.com, or from the drop-down menu under your username, click on Support.